everyone. Thanks so much for joining our webinar today. This is going to be a webinar with RICOH and also Smarten Spaces. And the theme of today's webinar would be technological innovation for the new dynamic workplace. I have with me today Norman from Smarten Spaces and also Elvin, who is from RICOH. I will give a brief introduction on both panelists, and we are going to have a panel discussion on how exactly the new hybrid workplace will look like today and also in the future. I wanted to give everyone a warm welcome. Thanks so much for taking time to join us. I understand that we have a lot of attendees from Singapore. So the panel discussion today will be centered and centric around that. So without, further ado, I would move on into the introduction. So Norman, he is the ASEAN Regional Director from Smarten Spaces. He heads the key growth in sales strategies and action plans, builds lasting relationships, understand customer trends, and also customer loyalty. He's got good experience with Japanese organizations, has deployed, executed smart city projects across ASEAN. He's got over 15 years of experience, with leading enterprises, Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies. And then we have Elvin. He is the head of Digital Workplace Service Group from RICOH Singapore. He's got over 15 years of corporate experience, mostly in the office automation industry. He's wielded his experience in consulting for digital workplace services, managed print services, business and document process optimization and outsourcing. So welcome Norman and welcome Elvin to our discussion.
Hi Nat, thank you very much.
So I wanted to run through the agenda that we're going to have. So today's topic will be on technological innovation for the new hybrid workplace. The premise of what we're going to be speaking about would be the future workplace today. As employees are heading back to the office, a lot of them have had remote working. A lot of them have, due to the pandemic, they've actually experienced how it's like to work from home and work remotely, and it's even more prominent now. So as employees are returning back to the workplace currently, the whole landscape of the workplace is changing. It's not how it used to be, and technological innovation is the crux and the reason, the catalyst for this to happen. So how exactly is a hybrid workplace looking like today? How can we ensure a seamless transition to the new hybrid workplace? Some aspects that we'll be talking about is how does it look like? Why is there a need for technological innovation? What can businesses do to ensure that employees remain at the heart of whatever they do? How can we ensure that employees continue to have a smooth transition between remote working and in the office? Flexibility is key in what employees are looking for right now. So what exactly can businesses do to help smoothen this transition? And what ROIs can we basically expect for businesses to achieve? Can we leverage on emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence to provide a very enhanced employee experience? And how much time would it require to implement such technologies? And for businesses who have yet to start technological innovation at the workplace, what exactly can they do? What are some key points that you should look out for? And also, what are some future trends for places in the Singapore region? So this would be some insights which will be discussed between both Norman and Elvin. It's going to be a very interactive back-to-back session. The sort of program that we're going to have would be, we're going to start off by playing RICOH's video. It's titled "Remote Working is Here to Help." And then we'd go into a panel discussion with both Norman and Elvin. We would then have a question and answer section. So please feel free to drop any questions that anyone might have. You can direct it either to Norman or either to Elvin, and we'll take it up and answer through there. And then we'll be playing a video from Smarten Spaces, which talks about a new hybrid workplace. We would then send a recording of this webinar over to all the attendees who have attended, just so you can get some more key insights from it. So without further ado, I'm just going to play RICOH's video. Just 1 second. Can you guys see my screen just fine? Elvin, Norman? Can you, I'll just play the sound. If you guys
Yeah,
don't hear it, do let me know.
yeah, it's viewable.
Okay.
RICOH is dedicated to helping your employees work safely and efficiently wherever they are by offering the highest quality technical solutions. Remote work services help maintain access to the information and applications you need and improve communication and teamwork, all while protecting your data. Process automation solutions simplify how work gets done by capturing and digitizing information and automating critical workflows to increase worker productivity and keep your business processes moving wherever employees are working. And a cloud-first IT strategy that helps modernize your business to keep your systems running, maintain a seamless employee and customer experience, and improve business continuity. Plus, as your partner, we'll work.
Sorry?
The video isn't moving
Yeah.
The
from
video
my
is
end.
moving.
How about Alvin? Is the movie moving? We
No,
can
no.
hear the sound, but there's no movie moving
Okay,
at all. Yeah. It's
thanks for
it's
flagging that
showing
out.
it's just showing the RICOH.
Okay, thanks for flagging that out. Just 1 second. Feel free to just jump in and tell me if the video is not moving. I'm gonna
Yeah, I
start.
thought it was just me, so I was just checking in with Alvin.
I'm just gonna start again. Let
Yeah,
me
you
know
try
if.
again. Yeah, give it a shot again.
Okay. Is it working?
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
RICOH is dedicated to helping your employees work safely and efficiently wherever they are by offering the highest quality technical solutions. Remote work services help maintain access to the information and applications you need and improve communication and teamwork, all while protecting your data. Process automation solutions simplify how work gets done by capturing and digitizing information and automating critical workflows to increase worker productivity and keep your business processes moving wherever employees are working. And a cloud-first IT strategy that helps modernize your business to keep your systems running, maintain a seamless employee and customer experience, and improve business continuity. Plus, as your partner, we'll work with you to help create a smarter and safer workplace, help you manage and monitor employee and visitor access, set and maintain physical distance parameters, and limiting contact with high-touch surfaces. As the way we work continues to evolve, RICOH is here to help you every step of the way.
Okay. So sorry for the initial part, but yeah, that was a video from RICOH. I'm just going to move on into the panel discussion that we're going to have. So RICOH would be coming in on key insights such as how exactly the workplace looks like today, how has the landscape changed, what they think enterprises are looking out for, and basically providing thoughts on the current workplace in Singapore, the landscape on that, whether Singapore is going to continue to be a leading hub in Asia. And Smarten Spaces, Norman's basically going to come in more on the technology aspect, the need and demand for such solutions, how exactly can companies use technology to innovate today, how exactly has businesses seen a rise in such solutions. So the first question I'm going to ask would be to Alvin. Alvin, we noticed that the pandemic has accelerated the need for digital transformation in enterprises. Singapore, for instance, we heard news that employees can return back to work, with effect from in September, 2 months ago. But I want to hear your thoughts on basically some key findings or challenges that you realize on how the landscape for workplaces have changed. How exactly has it evolved in your thoughts?
Right. Hi everyone. You can hear me clearly, right? Just to
Yes,
check.
we can. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can.
So thanks for confirming, and thank you for taking time to attend this webinar. In response to Ned's question regarding the accelerated the need of the digital transformation in workplaces, right? When we have had news of employees being able to return to the workplaces in September, there were a lot of thoughts, and we have seen a lot of inquiries with regards to RICOH as an organization. How can we help them get their workplace ready for employees to return, right? The first thing is, when we return to workplace, we do not address visitors, because to begin with, employees are the first people who enter the workplace. So we address the employees first, right? To give them the confidence to be able to go back to the workplace after circuit breaker, after the office has been shut for a few months, has not been no activities. So when we first enter the workplace, we will be concerned about the cleanliness, the hygiene, right? The wellness of the employees has to be taken care of. And when the employees see that the management has actually put in place certain measures in the organization, engage certain services such as disinfection services to clean up the office, they feel confident and they feel safe to come back to work. They would not have a reason to say that, no, I'm still not coming back because I'm scared. I have kids at home, I have elderly at home, and I don't want to risk, So of course, they need to feel confident in going back to the workplace. Certain technologies such as indoor air and surface disinfection technology can be put in place, right, to make sure that the ongoing air quality and the surface cleanliness is being kept. All right, it is not so much of a daily cleaning and disinfection, but it is a form of like an air purifying kind of technology. Secondly, contact tracing is essential in all workplaces right now, and that's where we talk about after we take the consideration of employees, we then now put the focus on incoming visitors, because when we go back to work, we would be expecting to welcome smaller groups of visitors, and therefore we'll see people moving in and out of the office. So contact tracing is essential, but we know Singapore, we have implemented safe entry. All right. So when we enter a building, we do safe entry, and after we enter a building, we go into the office, we also do a safe entry. So that is basically a contact tracing that government has put in place for people, for the nation. However, what about being inside the office, right? How do we know? For example, if I'm in this meeting room right now. 2 hours later, someone else comes into the meeting room. How do I know who? Right? How do I know who has been using the same desk that I was using? Who was sitting around me in maybe 2 meters away at the same time when I was occupying a desk, for example. So this information would not be available simply by safe entry. All right. So therefore, certain enhancements using technologies such as Smarten Spaces would actually help to complement this information required when regulations are asking for this information. Yep.
Thanks, Alvin. I thought those were some pretty good points you touched on. You didn't just touch on regulations in Singapore. You also, provided examples like safe entry and all that. So I think my next question to Norman, as businesses are, figuring out a seamless transition for employees to return back and enhance experience for them, there is the need for such technologies to happen. Safe entry is just, the start of it, the gateway. But how exactly can businesses further leverage on technological innovation? And if so, Elvin mentioned things like you don't know who's sitting next to you. All these things have to be put in place just for further ease of mind, and also for things like contact tracing, for the need for such data. So what are your thoughts in terms of where businesses can start today?
Right. Thanks, Ned. I think, first of all, I just want to say thank you to RICOH, right, Alvin and the team for co-organizing this joint webinar together with us, and to everyone else that is joining us on this session, right? Like what Alvin has mentioned, it must have been a very trying time in the past couple of months. We all have multiple webinars, endless virtual meetings that basically causes us to have different form of fatigue. But I think nevertheless, now that we are all here means that, we can give ourselves a pat on the back. I think well done. We have all adapted, right, to this new normal. And we have gotten used to this kind of a transformation. And I agree with Alvin, right? There's a few pointers that you pointed out, right? cleanliness, indoor air quality, the people, very important, right? The workforce is also very important. We talk about security and also contact tracing. Right? So I think adding on to that, on when we talk about technologies, right? How I see is that in the past couple of months, right, we have observed multiple phases, at least in Singapore, right? Is that, I mean, in the first phase, everyone was working out of home. We are using online telepresence. We are using meeting tools. We are basically, going into the second phase where I think about 20, at least 20, 30% of that people go back to work, right? The workforce goes back to work, and the focus primarily becomes safety, right? Like what Rico mentioned, safety and security. But I think the thing about when we address the issue is that as we return back to work, I realized that, or we realized that there's a lot of paper and pen that we started to touch, and we need to fill out forms, health declarations, as we go into the buildings, visitor management, we need to use a pen and write down who are meeting and all that stuff. I think those are some of the solutions that could be introduced at that particular point of time. Hence, we see a lot of contactless deployments when we talk about technologies, starting around contactless visitor management. We talk about contactless entry, right? Contactless turnstile, facial recognition, contactless elevators. We even have contactless health declaration where you scan a QR code, you predefine question, you write them in, and of course today now that we have safe entry, that absolutely supported and helped us quite a lot as well. But not the least, I think we also have contactless food ordering, where people scan a QR. All the menus in restaurants are all now QR code, right? If you realize when you go up, you scan, you can order the food, and I think when we go back to the workforce safety aspect, how technologies are being introduced is also important, because we need to adhere to the social distancing in the workplace. We need to think about how we comply with the government regulations, right, around social distance, 1 meter, temperature taking, checking, the monitoring of entry, going in and out. And this whole process at least lasted a good 6 months, at least, right? When technology really got introduced in the past 6 months. Now, I think in this particular phase that we are in, when you talk about the needs, your question on the demand for technological solution, and also how to be used in the new hybrid workplace, at least in the aspect of Singapore, I believe is that now we are in what we call the flexible working phase. Businesses are gradually coming back. You can see that more and more people are coming back. But while they are doing that, they also need to reconsider how do they manage the workforce, right? I mean, look at our company, for an example, where we have that much people, we have to split ourselves up. But when we split ourselves up, we distribute ourselves among the team A and the team B aspect, right? How do we know that, or what kind of, how do we determine that, Norman, got to work with this particular solution architect to be one team, another salesperson to work with another, the deployment person to function well together as one team, right? But that is just a very small part, right? The second part, I think, on social distancing on that matter, is where many companies will run into huge problem, which is how can you distribute your people across the space that you already have today, right? Since we're now talking about needs and demand, but and also what are the days where we are allowed to go back to the workforce? That's, I think, what most companies are trying to solve today. And I think they will continue to grapple with it at least for another 6 months to a year. But I believe from here on, the importance of workforce rostering, we talk about hot desking, flexible desk, where the shift of traditional desk to flex desk, and a combination of both. And of course, also very importantly, Alvin mentioned the people, right? The people, employee engagements, and the culture in the organization is also key. Hence, I think the commencement of the introduction of the new hybrid workplace is here in this era.
Great. I think that was pretty insightful, Norman. You touched on several stuff earlier. I think my next question, I'm going to direct this to Alvin first. Alvin, you mentioned things like what exactly should the workplace have in terms of all this contact tracing. It should have good quality air and so forth. I want to hear your thoughts on the new hybrid workplace today. It's definitely changed. It's not the same right now. Employees are so used, we've shifted into remote working. We're taking calls from home. It's way easier now. That's exactly how the landscape is. But with things like, when offices are reopening, how exactly is that going to be a smooth transition? What would you suggest that businesses do in order to, make that an easy flow for employees? We have to take note things like employee communication, employee collaboration. So in your thoughts, and also with your experience with RICOH, what do you think companies can do to make sure it's just like a good fusion of both remote working and also working at the office? Do you think a lot of flexibility is required?
Yeah, so other than flexibility, right, I believe organizations need to be digitally ready, all right, to enable a hybrid work style. We do recognize that the workforce is moving towards a very hybrid kind of a working model right now. It is not by choice, but I'm not sure if it isn't even by trend, but because of the situation, everybody is working like half in office, half at home,
Yeah.
and we are seeing a change in the needs of the workplace as well, the physical space, because again, RICOH, we offer workplaces consultancy. We are also seeing a request in the workplace reconfiguration, all right, based on what we understand in the new norm. There are going to be a lot more kind of video calls, webinars like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's going to be challenging to be sitting at a workstation and attending calls because your colleague in 1 or 1.5 meters away may be attending another call. And when the both of you start talking, we're going to hear echoes.
Yeah.
So the thing is, workplaces may need some form of reconfiguration. Do we want to have more phone booths kind of a setup rather than more open workstations? That's something to consider. Um, I mentioned about the organization being digitally ready, all right? Because when employees are working from home, I believe a lot of us here have already experienced working from home, and to a certain extent, we may sometimes experience the situation whereby, hey, my document is in office. I can't get this done. And
Yeah.
I have no access to the office. I'm not authorized to go back this week. So that becomes a bottleneck in business processes. I can't get things done. So in form of digital transformation, organizations will need to start looking at how they first digitize themselves, their contents, their documents, making it available and accessible everywhere. So digital transformation is a big term. There are three in definitions. There's organizational digital transformation. There is operational digital transformation, and there's also like products and customer-facing digital transformation, right? So organizational digital transformation is generally the first area where we want to look at because it is not to a specific industry. It is applicable to general organizations, general enterprises. We talk about having digital contents from physical to digital. We do scanning services, we convert them, and then we put them into digital storage,
Right.
cloud storage. And then when that happens, we will talk about access accountability, right? Who can access what documents, who cannot access what documents, and we'll have an audit log. And when your documents are already in the cloud, then we talk about data security, right? Backups, for example. So all this comes into play, right? But it doesn't have to be implemented at one go. It doesn't have to be implemented at one shot because with how technology has evolved and all the tech players trying to catch up with one another and capture the best of this market right now, implementation of such technologies has became very much simplified. It is not as complex as what many may think oh, I have to do in-depth analysis, a 3-month analysis before I can decide what I want to do. So it's not going to be that complicated. Yeah, so being digitally ready is actually really the first step to how businesses can quickly react to this hybrid work style. And then the next thing is to reconsider how their existing physical space in the office can be reconfigured to better suit the needs when employees are returning. They won't complain like, hey, I have no place to make a phone call, or I have no place to attend webinars, things like that.
Yeah, sounds
Right.
good. Yeah, I think pointers to conclude what Elvin just said, being digitally ready is very important, key importance as well, and also ensuring that the workplace is prepared. So this is where sort of the fusion between workplace, workforce, and technology, they come together to create a fusion. So I just want to hear, Norman, from your side. I mean, just touching on what Elvin mentioned, digital ready workplace with the being workplace ready as well for the new style of working. For instance, social distancing. Businesses are doing it. Some businesses don't know where to start, so they don't know how to reconfigure their spaces properly, and also they maybe do it manually. Is there, from your viewpoint, is there an easier way to have a very automated way of doing things? You mentioned also workforce rostering, which falls into the workplace today, the future workplace today. How can we make this a very easier process for companies? Is there, how can we leverage on technology? Can you give a bit more insight on that?
Absolutely, man. And I think I also shared this earlier, where we are now in the phases that we've all been through now. We are welcoming the new phase, the flexible workforce phase, where enterprises then have to ready themselves. They need to really go and consider how they can have that seamless transition of all their employees, ensuring a smooth balance between those that are working out of home, those that are working, continue to work remotely. We saw how some enterprises are dealing with this today, right? I mean, we have multiple deployments, and they solely depend on what we call an Excel sheet, right? They manage across more than 500, 1,000 employees, right? And for smaller businesses, when you talk about social distancing, or how they manage the team or rostering, they use social messaging platforms, the likes of WhatsApp group, Telegram groups, and they ask, okay, I am going to be in the office this week. Please let the CSO know I'm taking leave and all that stuff. But I'm telling you this because there will be a huge challenge, right, to the poor guy or the poor lady that is actually managing this. Because I mean, look, it could be the chief safety officer, right? I mean, it could be the HR leader, it could be the transformation office, the facilities team. But imagine when one particular employee, is just feeling unwell, apply leave, even want to have a change request, saying, I prefer to work with Elvin. Put me in the team, transfer me, swap me, right? Whatever, right? Or another employee said that I can't come in this time, 10 to 2. Can I come in 2 to 4 or 2 to 5, right? Truly, it will be, and it already is a huge challenge for the person, or even if you put a team together to manage this. But I think how enterprises should ready themselves would be in the light of, when we talk about future workplace, would be number one, they have got to solve the workplace seating plan, right? Because employees should know that their desks are now gone, right? I mean, not entirely gone, but at least 50% of the seats are gone. Yes, been shifted from fixed to flex, or combination of both. And then the organizations will also need to know how and where to place the rest of the team, right? Secondly, would be on how we allocate the seats, right? In some instances, employees will make a reservation on their own, right? They prefer to sit on this particular floor. I prefer to sit beside the marketing division. I prefer to sit beside the sales team and having a project with them. But on a specific instances, they just want, I just find me a seat. Yeah, I just want to come in, it's fine. They want to use the technology to say that, just assign me a seat and I'll be there to use a particular place, right? And lastly, I think you mentioned, Randy, was also the rostering portion, because now that you have heard about all the challenges that are also there, how they can truly ready themselves is where, employees need to know the schedule, right? If it's a small team, 10 people, 20 people, easy, right? But I mean, we are looking at, Fortune 100 companies. We're looking at the big banks that are, already deploying such rostering solution, where to know who is on duty and when are they on duty, because they have 40,000 employees. There's no way. I mean, even WhatsApp group can only fit up to maybe 200, 200 in a group, and Telegram maybe more, but 40,000. It may seem easy, but like I said, if you have more employees, that permutations are unbelievable, right? And hence, I think with all this functions that are in place, enterprises will then really want to have complete automation, right? And automation is very important. You cannot do this manually because, like I mentioned earlier, the shift to the new hybrid workplace on a manual basis is going to be very, very challenging. The employees' productivity is going to drop, but with the combination of technology, it's going to be installed on a place or deployed in the particular workplace, the workforce will then thrive, right? Customers are even telling us that the use of this particular data that they're now using, where the technology is still feeding, will then be used to provide them with analytics, give them some insights, give them some reports for the future workplace, so that whatever decisions that they're going to make right now for the future or 6 months down the road, it could be properly done and made if the space that they currently have or is sitting will be, like fully utilized. Right? Is that really completely optimized? And then, therefore making that strategic decision of cost cutting measures in terms of spaces will apply. Yeah.
That's a very good point about space management and also about cost cutting. I want to circle back on that part later, but I'll just go back to Alvin because he raised a few points about how digital transformation has different facets to it. Alvin, I want to hear your thoughts on how this impacts the employee. Employees are the crux of every organization. When they do return back, they need to ensure that not only is the workplace safe, but it also has to be a good spot for, for communication to still happen, collaboration to still happen. I want to be able to go back to work and also, be able to talk to the relevant people in my department, to have that strengthened collaboration, ensure that productivity still maintains, and that in the new workplace today, how do you foresee the employee experience being strengthened? When you talk about the workplace being digitally ready, what are some thoughts that you have on RICOH's side on how employee experience can be further enhanced?
Right. So this is a change. All right. How we used to work pre-COVID, during COVID, circuit breaker, I mean, and then post-circuit breaker, we are still not out of COVID situation yet.
Right.
But there's a pre-circuit breaker, during circuit breaker, and post-circuit breaker, we have a very big shift in the way we work. All right. And it's a big change. Now, as we are going back to the workplace, most organizations have already began certain form of digital transformation, like we mentioned earlier. Certain business processes have changed. The certain rules and policies have been implemented. All right, so it is difficult to ensure that all employees know what to do when they come back or what to expect. All right. For example, some organizations, they used to apply leave using a handwritten form, like what Norman has mentioned earlier. But moving forward, we are more going towards using electronic form with electronic approvals, right? So how do we do this? There's this thing called change management. All right, change management is basically a program that can be deployed. It involves communication to the employees. Okay, so change management is again a very big term, right? But we like to make it simple. We develop programs to address topics to the right people at different times for different purposes. Okay, so first of all, we communicate the objective or the reasons why we are doing this, why we're implementing certain solutions, certain technologies, so that all employees are aware. All right, so we create awareness. Then we let them feel that they need to participate in this change. It is a desire, right, for them to participate in this change. Then we will do trainings, know-hows, user guides that gives them the knowledge to participate in this change. The different types of the methods to get things done now. And then once they have the ability, we will then reinforce these messages to them. So it basically is a series of communication channels and contacts. It can come in posters, it can come in videos, it can come in email, blast email messages. All right, certain change management programs that we do, we make it fun. We have a customized mascot to make it a more as an identity, so that whenever the employees sees this mascot, they know that, oh, it is a notification or it is a message that is being communicated in relation to the new way of working, the new systems have implemented. So change management is actually very important because like we mentioned earlier, right? Employees are the core assets of an organization. They must first know how to work before the organization can work, and then we will then deliver this advantage and everything else to the customers, the end customers. Right. So other technologies that can help to reinforce this collaboration and communication involve deployments of mobile applications, for example, like again, Norman mentioned earlier, right? We like to make our own decisions on where I want to sit in an organization. So today I know that I'm going back to the office. I know that I want to sit here, and then I start launching this mobile app on my phone, and I start to book the place. And then I get notified, hey, the limit has exceeded. You are not allowed to go in. Now, having this ability to give me information at that time allows me to further plan my activities for the day. So I know that, okay, I'm not allowed to go to the office. I got to make a plan B. I either go to a co-working space or I work from home, and I have to make sure that I know that I have a meeting, a very important meeting. So I got to make sure that the environment is quiet. I shut the doors and keep everyone out of my room. Yeah, that kind of thing. So instant access, instant information availability is very important to all employees right now. Yeah.
That's great. Thanks, Alvin, for touching more on the employee side to things. I think it's very important that employees feel reassured, and they also have an enhanced experience because the landscape has changed. But Norman, just now, I feel like, you've brought up some points that I want to circle back on. You spoke about how exactly space management, things like desk management is very important. And I think this particular statistic that I saw was in the pre-pandemic times, I think 100% of space was used 50% of the time. But now with the hybrid workplace, 70% of space should be used 100% of the time. So with the current landscape that we're in, we should fully utilize the space that we're in. It actually enables us, after social distancing, to properly plan out our seats and properly see what seats are being utilized, have data, and have these insights to reconfigure our spaces. So what are your thoughts on how what kind of ROIs that businesses can see? Can they, do you think the seats are going to be fully utilized? How exactly can they ensure proper utilization and proper usage of it?
Right. I think you made a great point as well, right? Because you see, not too long ago, during the pre-pandemic time, we wake up every morning, we put our pants on, right? And then we commute to work in rush hour, we get back home on time in the evening for dinner. But, and you're right, 100% of the space, probably only 50% of the time is used. Now, the hybrid workplace time, right? We wake up in the morning, but we still put our pants on, right? But instead of rushing to work, we are all setting up all our gadgets, all over the place, right? If we are working out of home, we basically set up the home electronics, we set up our computers, we set up our video teleconferencing tool. If you're in your office, we interact with a lot of contactless products, right? We make sick booking, we do software interaction, visitor management solution, and all that stuff. So the hybrid workplace is definitely here, and that shift has started. We can witness that all the large local banks, I think I mentioned the Fortune 500 companies, and even the public sectors are taking a certain aspect of initiative in that. But it is really fascinating because when we used to talk about digital transformation and or ROI, like per se, we usually talk to the facility managers. We talk to probably the CIO how he can manage that ROI. But I think today, in this hybrid workplace, is how we see the first time where HR is really coming along together with the technology team and working closely together to execute a complete digital and hybrid workplace, right? Because the future of work is going to be geared towards more of IoT, how we can reduce space, how you can save costs, how AI technologies comes in to automatically automate some of those stuff. To at the same time save not cost, but probably you save the ROI piece again on productivity and efficiency of a particular employee looking for a seat, booking a meeting room, multiple floors, but he do not know where his employees are when he want to search for a particular employee. That will help increase the productivity of the employee. And for the space that are not being used, that is where that is the ROI of the cut where it will truly happen. And of course, that will then, of course, derive the smarter mobile workforce, leveraging on majority of it is key technologies.
Great stuff. Okay, I'm just gonna sort of go into our last part of the panel discussion. But before I go into this last question, I'm gonna open the floor to asking any questions. So there is a Q&A button right at the bottom. Feel free to just ping your questions in, direct any of these questions to either Alvin or Norman, and we'll spend some time answering them. But I just sort of wanted to go into both your thoughts on the landscape today. I know we spoke a lot about flexibility, we spoke a lot about a hybrid workplace, how that's changed with the pandemic. But Alvin, what are your thoughts in how exactly workplaces have changed? What are your thoughts on the future, the future wise of workplaces? Do you think Singapore will continue to be a leading hub in Asia, technologically and also in a digital workplace sector? And can you share any findings that businesses might find useful?
Right. So we spoke a lot about how workplaces has changed. It will continue to change. A good notification of what workplaces will move towards, right? It's again rather the question on how much are they willing to invest in the digital transformation, all right? Or are we looking at, I mean, some industries have no choice, right? They will have to go back to physical workplaces. Everything has to go back to business as usual, all right? But there will be some form of adoption of digital technologies, okay, to propel the business moving forward, because otherwise the business will probably be lacking in terms of productivity and responses and going to market and in capturing deals of whatever products and services that the organization is selling. All right. So workplaces will change. I've also mentioned earlier that the configuration of workplaces are expected to be relooked at. Norman mentioned about ROI, all right, in better recovering the investment in the space. Instead of using this space for a workstation, can we then convert this into a more flexible space? All right, how can the space be able to help generate more revenue, for example? Or even to the extent with enough data, with sufficient data, we will be able to look at maybe I really do not need this space anymore. So we could probably reduce the space that we are needing and convert a fixed space to a more flexible use kind of a space for different kind of activities. All right. So different ways. It's hard to articulate over words. All right. Well, maybe if the chance allows, maybe you can come by to RICOH's office to look at the live office tour on how RICOH has actually made use of space, but make it very, very flexible for different occasions, right? Then we can see what we mean by flexible workspaces. Okay, when I need the space, I close it up for private function. When I don't need the space, I open it up for open functions, for example. So that basically translates a lot into ROIs, right? Yeah. With regards to if will Singapore continue to move forward in this digital age, right? Definitely, Singapore being a business hub, all right, with strong networking connectivity, um, businesses adopting cloud more and more. So I believe technologies is continue to be developed and be thrive. Okay, a lot of businesses used to be very skeptical towards adoption of cloud technologies. Oh, is it
Right.
secure? Is it it's all up there? But now everybody is, hey, I want to be up there. I don't want everything to be on premise because I can't access things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
think this is
yeah.
a bit apprehensive about adopting those, but we see more of those happening right now. But yeah, I definitely agree with your point there.
Right, right. So therefore, I feel that yeah, the technology landscape in Singapore is continuing to grow, with businesses adopting more and more digital tech and cloud tech. All right. Yeah. It's then the question is, when will the businesses start to adopt such technologies and propel their business forward? Yeah.
Right, right.
Mm.
Okay, great stuff. I think, Elvin, when you mentioned about coming by to Rico's office, I think me and Norman definitely excited to be on the.
I want to visit the innovation center.
Right. Welcome.
Let's walk us through.
Sure, sure.
For sure. So thanks, Elvin. Norman, what about your thoughts on the future trends? And Elvin shared his thoughts on how Singapore will continue to advance in the digital workplace landscape. But I also understand that Smarten Spaces, we've had global deployments for also the digital workplace. What are your thoughts on how exactly it's going to evolve for the Singapore landscape?
The future trends, right?
Yeah.
I would personally say cut away all the office unused spaces so that we can keep the free flow of snacks budget for our pantry. That would be the future trend. But
Very important.
yeah, I think on a serious note, right? On a serious note, businesses are continuing to spend, right? They are still doing pilots on technologies. They are spending on technology. They are investing on technologies that enables them to, basically give them the empowerment. It gives them real-time data, which is, I think, the future trend right now. Data is also fairly important to a lot of organization, and essentially, it gives them an edge, right? When you talk about digital workplace, you talk about digital workplace transformation again, which is a huge word. But in the workplace, with data analytics, I think that is how we can see how we reuse the space, like what Alvin mentioned, in a more configured in a more efficient manner, a more smarter manner, a smarter way to do it, and how we can optimize the occupancy level, like what Nadira has mentioned. Today, even if we go back to work pre-pandemic, 100% of the space, 40-50% used, but how do we completely optimize the occupancy to make it 70% of the space, but say 100% utilization, right? And in that manner, how can we also save energy? How can we also save the environment? And looking at the future trends, there's also the people aspect, right? It's the culture, right? We believe that technologies will bring people back to work together again, and increased productivity. It is essential because imagine this where you'll be able to find an employee, like I just mentioned earlier. I just want to know where Alvin is sitting by the touch of the finger. I know he's at home, right? Maybe we'll just work out of home. I know that he is on a particular floor. We can just click on it, wayfind me there, and basically, it's just one example. If you work in a very large corporation and that reduce the time, it also helps you to support your meeting room bookings, your seat reservation, and all these features that I mentioned. Indirectly, it will result in that similar ROI on cost savings as well. I think that would be the future that every organization is looking at, because in the past 9 months, a lot of cost-cutting measures, a lot of organizations are looking at how do we save jobs, right? And in our aspect, as the expert in the spaces arena, we go in and we let them know that these are some of the spaces that it's unused, right? So when it's unused, it's either you reconfigure it, it's either you cut the space, we retain the employee, and then we keep the snacks, right? That is, I think,
And the coffee.
and the coffee, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Norman. I'm actually gonna keep the Q&A section open right now. So attendees, feel free to just drop in any questions, either in the Q&A section or either in the chat function. But while waiting for any questions, I'm going to start by playing Smarten Spaces video. So there's a video that talks about the hybrid workplace technology. Again, I'm going to need the help of the panelists. If the video is not playing or the audio is not working, just shout out to me.
Yeah.
So just 1 second.
The new normal requires workplaces to be safe and flexible for the employee's new work style at reduced operating costs. A world leader in digital workplace solutions, Smarten Spaces has developed a full suite of AI technology for the future workplace. Jumpree is an all-in-one digital workplace app providing flexibility to employees. With the need to combine work from home and back to work, the workplaces will undergo a transformation. With Jumpree, employees can pre-book seats on the app and find the location of their colleague's seat. Its unique algorithm helps you automatically identify socially distanced seats on a floor plan. Its safety features make sure employees stay secure while adhering to the social distancing norms, ensuring that everything is contactless. Smarten Spaces Desk in Space Management is the world's first end-to-end solution, providing safety and flexibility on a single technology platform. It helps save costs and provides deep insights while taking less time to deploy. With over 100 deployments in 30 cities worldwide, Smarten Spaces technology is ready to help transform your workplace for a changing world. Smarten Spaces. Let's reimagine our workspaces.
Okay, so that was a short video from Smarten Spaces. I think I would now move on to the Q&A section. So there are a few questions, that I would like to direct either to Norman or Elvin, and it's up to you guys to just jump in and answer accordingly. So the first question I have is, Norman, you mentioned about the need for data and how this brings about insights. I think I'll direct this to either one of you guys. How do you see companies using data? How do you see companies using insights? And what sort of data can companies expect? How can that improve the day-to-day life of an employee?
If I can try that, I think one thing is certain, right? Remote work is surely here to stay, right? Remote work is here to stay, whether we like it or not. I mean, I like it, but using data, right? Using data to design the future of the workplace, be it working out of home or out of the office. We manage the employees' wellness, which is also key today in the people's aspect, which is something that we mustn't underestimate, right? It is fundamental moving forward. But as we center ourselves around that, we realize and we should be able to utilize that data at hand and make very strategic decisions, right? Similarly to how like AI also interacts with data, which I think AI is also a huge topic on its own, and we can take it forward with any of the attendees who are keen when it comes to artificial intelligence in the workplace, in providing real-time automation. This is, I think, needed. Is required, but if you ask an employee to do too many steps, right? You need to do one step here, two step here, download this, and do lots of stuff. I think too many processes and just to capture data, the adoption may not take off. Yeah.
Okay, good stuff, Norman. There is also Elvin. Do you want to touch or provide any insights into that?
Yeah. So just adding on to the value of data, right? Every organization have lots of data, right? To the extent big data, this term exists right now. But data is of no value unless you convert it into information, right? That allows business owners to really make informed decisions, all right? And basing on data, we can then decide on certain steps. Okay, for example, I have a lot of paper forms. They are just data on paper, all right? But once we convert such forms into digital forms and capture certain key indexes as data, searchable data, then I will be able then to identify using this data and convert them into information that I need. So once I know this information, or business owners, they know certain information, and then they know, oh, actually I have so many employees, for example, and how many percent of them are of certain age, how many percent of them are of certain qualifications, for example. Then they will know the dynamics, all right, the dynamics of the workforce, and then they will be able to put a plan, like how are we going to progress each of our employees, for example, right? So data is very powerful, and the thing is, do we know how to capture these data? Are we able to help businesses capture the necessary data that they want? Yeah.
To sum up both your points, it's all about eventually using data, leveraging on it to make very informed decisions for the business and organization. The next question we have is, digital transformation seems, like such a mega scale initiative. With a limited budget, how exactly should we go about prioritizing it? Where should we start? So I'll direct this. Maybe Alvin, you want to take this question first?
Sure. So digital transformation is actually a very, very big term, right? That how do we decide where to start? All right, and every part of a digital transformation involves certain form of investment, be it in investment in the likes of money, investment in the likes of time and resources. Okay. First of all, before every organization decides to embark on a digital transformation project, the business owner, or at least uh, the business key driver, all right, management team will have to be convinced that, okay, we need to do it.
Yeah.
All right, because if the management team, or the business owner does not feel convinced, they just want to do for the sake of doing, the DX project is going to fail, because the commitment is not there. All right. And for every scope of digital transformation, there is bound to be certain form of investment in technologies or services. All right. So depending on the priorities of the business, we will decide to recommend, for example, like I mentioned earlier, converting of physical documents to digital documents is always the best place to start.
Yeah.
All right. It's always the base to begin a organizational digital transformation. All right. And once you have all your documents and data digitalized, it makes the whole digital transformation project for the rest of the scope to be very easy, because they are all already digital. Right. So we should start looking at that first.
Okay, good point. Norman, I'm going to direct one question to you. It's, touching on the question that was being asked to Alvin as well, digital transformation. How long, the question the question that was asked him was where to start, but how long do you think this will take to be implemented, more on the technology side? Is it short for businesses who don't know much about it?
See, like what Alvin mentioned, right? When you talk about digital transformation, it's huge, right? It's a huge word today. But if I shift the question to digital transformation to the workplace, right? That is where we can talk about recommendation on how we should solve probably the sitting issue first. And because see, when we talk about some of the key learnings in deployment with so many customers in the market, right, globally, there's basically that 5 key learnings that we have learned, right, locally. I think businesses are now looking for workforce rostering, which covers the sitting to manage their employees. There is that space management piece, which is optimized and is vital, and the cutting of costs, which I talk about it on the third point. On the fourth point, the security and safety aspect, and then compliance for every single organization. And of course, they want employee experience, increased productivity and all that. But if you talk about how long, you truly need, I think this is, if you talk about workplace, I think we shouldn't make it too huge a problem, right? We shouldn't also overkill quite a lot of stuff, right? Because when you talk about digital transformation and it's a mega scale, yes, you are right. But we shouldn't overkill it. I think we should solve whatever issues that at hand. If it is the problem of bringing the workforce back, let's go there first and let's solve that problem. If
Yeah.
it's the sitting issue, let's go to the sitting issue and let's solve that problem. And I think the industry today, the technologies and the players that are in the market already have ready solutions to solve every single of such issues at hand. So I think would be, if we could just direct that, um, it would be more filtered so that we know what we're dealing with.
Yeah, I think it's a good point that there are solutions for such challenges and problems for businesses to look into. Okay, I think we've hit the 4 p.m. mark. I just want to sort of get closing statements. Alvin, RICOH is known for empowering the digital workplace. So I just want to hear sort of a closing statement from you on what you think, the future of the hybrid work is like, and just to wrap it up from your side.
Right. So thank you for giving us the time to speak. Right. Basically, to wrap up, hybrid workplaces, hybrid work style is here to stay. It's gonna continue to evolve. Like it or not, businesses and organizations have to start and embark on the digital transformation journey. Of course, if you do not know where to start, where to begin, whether it's from the processes, from the workplace side, feel free to engage us. We will be able to come in and just share with you on where to begin, how to begin, milestones and project trackers, ROI trackers, and stuff like that. Yep, more than happy to help, and thank you very much for having us.
Great. Thanks so much, Alvin. Norman, Smarten Spaces, known for global deployments, known for making spaces intelligent. What are your thoughts on the hybrid workplace? Would love to hear a closing statement from you as well.
I think if we talk about the hybrid workplace, right, we just want to set things right in that particular arena. We believe that it requires a complete end-to-end platform. And that technology stack, like I mentioned earlier, is already available today. I'll just give the key takeaways, right, is that it is the people, the space, and the technology, right? There's these three key elements, probably I will end that with this, is that the workplace cannot be what it is without the workforce, which is the people. And the workforce cannot thrive with that productivity, right, and the increase and efficiency without the technology. While I think the technology cannot be utilized on its own, right? I mean, who's going to use it without a particular workplace? So I think these are probably the three key elements that I would like to share.
Awesome. Okay. I just wanted to give a very huge thank you to both Alvin and Norman. So Alvin is from RICOH Singapore, Norman's from Smarten Spaces. If any of you would like to connect with them on LinkedIn, feel free to just look them up. They'll be more than happy to answer any questions on the digital workplace, on the new hybrid workplace. Any questions about RICOH, any questions about Smarten, feel free to reach out to them directly on LinkedIn. Also, you can search up both RICOH and Smarten Spaces on our website as well. We're available there, and both sites will be more than happy to help you out with any questions. Thanks so much for taking the time to attend this webinar. I hope everyone found it insightful and useful. Right after this session, we are also going to send a recording of the entire session, so everyone can get a chance to sort of listen to the key insights as well. So yeah, thanks so much everyone for your time, and I hope you guys have a great day ahead.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much. Thanks, Alvin.
Thanks, Nat. Thanks, Alvin.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Norman. Thanks, Nat.
Bye-bye.